Hello everyone, welcome to our class. Today we are going to do class 9th, chapter 1, Matter in Our Surroundings. So students, in class 1st, I have told you that what is matter, and from there we know that matter is something which occupies space and has mass. And we have also know there that matter is made up of very small particles. That means particles combine to form the matter. Now students, let's know some of the important characteristics of particles of matter. Characteristics of particles of matters are: the first characteristic is the particles of matter are very small. So in the previous class students, I have explained you that in our activity we have taken some potassium permanganate crystals and we have taken some water, and when we have added the potassium permanganate crystals into water, then the whole water is getting pink in color. That means this activity shows that by taking very small quantity of crystals of potassium permanganate, that is making the whole water pink, shows that the particles of matter are very small, because that crystal of the potassium permanganate is breaking itself and converting into the particle form, and these particles are combining and going to the space present between the particles of water. Now students, let's know the second characteristic of particle of matter. The second characteristic is the particles of matter have space between them. Now students, let us understand this activity with the help of one example. So students, here is the activity. Take 100 ml of water in a beaker and mark the level of water in that beaker. Right, we have marked it here. Now after adding 50 gram of sugar, we will take 50 gram of sugar and we will add this sugar in this beaker containing water, and we will stir it with the glass rod so that the particles of the sugar will take up the space of in between the particle of water fast. Now what will happen students? The particle of sugar and the particle of water will get mixed, and the sugar particles will go to the space present between the particles of water, and due to this we will get sugar solution. Now students, see that we have marked the initial mark here. In that container only, initially here was only water, but after adding sugar also, here the water level is, the marked level is same. That means what? That means that the particles of water are having the space between them, and in that empty space the particle of sugar are going and occupying that space. That's why that level of water is not increasing. The level of this container is not increasing. Now students, imagine one more condition. Imagine if there is no the space of particle between them, if they do not have space, then what will happen? This space is already occupied. Then if you will add the sugar, then where the sugar will go? The sugar will not dissolve in that, because there is not any kind of space, so it will not dissolve, right? It will not go and take up the space between the particle of water. Then what will happen? It will take some extra space, and if it will take some extra space, then here the level of this mark, this, it will get cross, or the level of this will change, right? So this activity clearly shows that the particles of matter are having space between them. Now let's go to the third characteristic of particle. Third characteristic of particles says that the particles of matter are constantly moving. Now let's understand this point also, this property also. To understand this, let's perform an activity. Students, take some incense stick, right, and try to smell it. When you will bring it closer, you can smell it. But when you will keep it at the distance, then you will not able to smell it properly. You will not able to smell the fragrance of it properly. Now students, do one thing, burn it. Right, after burning this incense stick, keep it in the corner of your room. Now students, you will observe that the incense stick will release some gases that will mix with the air of the room that is present, and that will reach to you. Then you can clearly observe the fragrance of incense stick. So students, this observation can be explained as follows. The burning of incense stick produces gases having pleasant smell. The particles of gases produced by the burning of incense stick move rapidly in all directions and mix with the moving particle of air and reaches every part of the room quickly. When the gaseous particles from the incense stick reach our nose with air, we can smell the fragrance. However, the particles of gases produced by the burning of incense stick and the particle of air were not moving, then the fragrance of incense stick could not spread in whole room quickly. So the observation that the fragrance of a burning incense stick spreads in the entire room very quickly tells us that the particles of matter are constantly moving. So students, by understanding this activity, it is clear that the particles of matter are continuously moving. Now let's understand the fourth characteristics of particle of matter. The fourth characteristic is the particles of matter attract each other. Now students, according to this characteristic, the particles are always attracting each other. That means, let us understand this with the picture and with the activity. If they are the particles of matter, right, then this particle is applying a force on this and attracting it towards itself, and same, this particle is also trying to attract it. This particle is also applying force on this, and same, all the particles are applying force on each other. Now, there are some forces of attraction between the particles of matter which bind them together. Yes, as I told you, see here, it is a matter, and in matter this round circles are particle of matter and they all are binded together, right? So they are binded by a force. That force is showing that particles of matter attract each other. The force of attraction between the particles of the same substance is known as cohesion. So what is cohesion? See, here is the particle and here is the particle. They both are similar. They both are of similar kind. So that the force which is attracting in between these two particles or in between the same kind of substance, such kind of force is called cohesion force, right? The force of attraction is different in particles of different kind of matter. This will become more clear from the following examples. Now let's see the examples. So students, take a piece of chalk, a cube of ice and an iron nail and beat them with the hammer. Right? We will find that it is very easy to break the piece of chalk into smaller particles, but it requires more force to break a cube of ice. And the iron nail does not break at all even with a large force. When we have taken chalk, a cube of ice and we have taken the iron nail and we are trying to breaking it, but what we will see that a chalk will break easily and a cube will break after applying more force, right? And the iron nail will not break even after applying large force. So students, from this example it is clear that the attraction between the particles of chalk is quite weak, means the chalk particle have the weak force of attraction, right? And the particles of ice cube have a bit stronger, and in case of ice cube they also have the attraction, but the attraction between the ice cube particles is stronger than the chalk. And what is happening in case of iron nail? There is the more strong force of attraction between the particles of iron nail. Let us take one more example. Students, we all know that we can move our hands through air very easily, right? Just if you want, you can perform it. Here is the air and I am able to move this pen very easily, because in case of air there is the very small force of attraction. But when we move our hand through water in a bucket fairly easily, because the force of attraction between the particles of water is also so small. But students, can we move our hand through a plank of wood? No, but we cannot move our hand through a plank of wood, because the force of attraction between the particles of wood is very strong, and if we try breaking a plank of wood with a blow of our hand will get hurt. In general, the force of attraction is maximum in the particles of solid, because iron nail was solid, wooden block was solid, but it is minimum in the gaseous matter. Now, so students, here is a question for you. What happens to the sugar when it dissolves in water? Where does the sugar go? What information do you get from the nature of matter from the dissolution of sugar in water? Here is another question for you. When an incense stick is lighted in one corner of a room, its fragrance spread in the whole room quickly. Which characteristic of the particle of matter is illustrated by this observation? Now next question. A piece of chalk can be broken into small particles by hammering, but a piece of iron cannot be broken into small particles by hammering. Which characteristic of particles of matter is illustrated by the observation? So students, that's all about today's class. I hope you will do your homework, and very soon we will meet in next class. Till then, bye bye and take care.